Hey everyone, and happy Friday. Cinephile Mike here with day 70 of Oscar Rewind, my bi-weekly series of videos where I revisit films that reflect the earlier work of this past year's Oscar nominees and winners. As always, I'll be discussing the awards history for the film, the box office information, the critical response, and as always, these reviews will be spoiler-free. You can find older episodes of Rewind here on my YouTube channel, along with lots of other great reviews. And you can head over to my website, cinephilemike.com, for lots of great additional content. Now, before I jump into today's film, do me a quick favor. Click that subscribe button, click that like button, and join in on the cinema conversation. So much to join in, you don't want to miss it. All right. So, this has been a very emotional week for our whole country, actually, for the whole world. Some people are in celebration, some people are in mourning, some people are in confusion. And all I can do is say that I am here to provide entertainment. So hopefully, maybe a little bit of a distraction as I say, hey, what better way to distract yourself than with a total mind trip of a movie, which I am going to be talking about today, which is Artisan Entertainment's Pi. Not food, but the mathematical symbol that stands for 3.14159 and goes on for infinity. Released in the summer of 1998, the film was written and directed by future Oscar nominee Darren Aronofsky from a story by Aronofsky, the film star Eric Gillette, and Eric Watson. Pi had a limited theatrical release, and yet, despite that, was a box office success. The film made a total of $3,221,152 at the domestic box office, which did account for its worldwide total as there were no international numbers reported. And this was against a reported budget of only $134,815. So not too shabby there. Critically, the film was also very well received. As per our usual source of information, Rotten Tomatoes, the film currently sits as of this recording with a critical rating of 88%, culled from 59 reviews, and a popcorn meter score not much lower at 85%, which comes to us from over 100,000 audience reviews. So, why is Pi on Rewind this season? Not for writer-director Aronofsky. His nomination was actually for directing the equally, if not maybe more disturbing Black Swan, but for this film, cinematographer Matthew Libatique. This year, Libatique earned his third Oscar nomination for Best Achievement in Cinematography for his work on Bradley Cooper's biopic Maestro. In fact, working with Cooper has brought Libatique Oscar love. His second nomination was for A Star is Born. However, his first Oscar nomination in his history was for the same film as Aronofsky, which was Black Swan. Frequent collaborators, Libatique has actually served as a cinematographer for many of Aronofsky's other projects, including but not limited to Mother, Requiem for a Dream, and The Whale. But back to Pi. Pi had its own journey on the award circuit. Winning an award from the National Board of Review for excellence in filmmaking, Aronofsky saw Pi nominated for the Dramatic Grand Jury Prize, and he won the Dramatic Directing Award at the Sundance Film Festival. He also won the Best First Screenplay at the Independent Spirit Awards, as well as two other ISA nominations, one for Libatique for cinematography and one for Best First Feature, ultimately losing that year to Velvet Goldmine. In addition to various other nods and wins at varied film festivals across the globe, it's also worth saying that here in good old New York, where I am recording this from, Aronofsky was awarded the Open Palm Award at the Gotham Awards. Pi is a psychological thriller that has us follow Max Cohen, played by Gillette. Max, as far as we can tell, is an unemployed number theorist who lives in downtown New York and firmly believes that math is in everything and that everything in the world can be understood by numbers. If there is a pattern of numbers, it can be solved. Now, possibly a result of this very busy brain, Max unfortunately suffers from severe psychological disorders that result in blackouts and hallucinations, and sometimes also suffers from seizures. Choosing to mainly stay to himself in his cramped apartment with his very complicated self built computer, the aptly named Euclid, which seems to resemble Jim Carrey's workstation in Batman Forever, both at Wayne Enterprises and at home. Max limits his social interactions to solving some math problems for the young girl who lives in his building, Jenna, played by Kristen May Ann Lau, a friendly neighbor, Devi, played by Samaya Shoab, and his mentor in numbers, Saul, played by Mark Margolis. They do enjoy a nice game of Go whenever they get together. Now, convinced possibly that he can make money, he believes that there are patterns to the way the stock market goes. Max becomes a little obsessed and enters this information into Euclid to solve, but unfortunately, Euclid malfunctions after printing out only a few predictions and a series of numbers that is unfinished before, Euclid just kind of shuts down. Through a series of events, Max will see that Euclid was actually onto something because some of the predictions that it made did actually occur when he sees the newspaper, but he had never been able to make good of the information. And, once he realized this, he had thrown away the paper thinking that there was nothing on it. But, oh well, c'est la vie, it's gone. And yet, interestingly enough, at the time that this happens, some new individuals come into his life. Some seem pure happenstance. One being Lenny Meyer, played by Ben Schenkman, a Hasidic Jew who conducts math research in the Torah, believing that the answers to religious questions are here based on the number system in the Hebrew. And also Marcy Dawson, played by Pamela Hart, who appears to have taken an interest in Max's work, she being a very up, well dressed, polite speaking Wall Street aficionado. Now, how are these people aware of Max's work? He does his best to stay away from them, but keeps getting swept into circles, and the intentions may not be as clear or innocent as they seem. And how this comes into play? Well, this is a gripping suspense that carries us on for a good 80 minutes or so, roughly. And Aronofsky's directorial debut is definitely one for the ages. It illustrates the mind trip that one can go on, when you have so much going on. And he loves to create these films that are very trippy, which we'll see a couple of years later in Requiem for a Dream. I mean, this film Pi seems to pose a few more questions than it's able to actually answer, but it's okay because Gullet is quite magnetic in his performance and he really carries us along with this movie. And you're right there with him from his more innocent, august, shocked kind of quiet energy to the verge of a nervous breakdown that we see have him at the end. And, when we get to the climax, it's going to sit with you. Trust me. And what really helps make the film work, actually, it's worth highlighting why we're here, Libatique cinematography. For the majority of the film, we have a lot of close ups or medium shots, never seeing wide shots of what's going on. So we're really honed in on the characters that we're spending time with. So we're seeing nice, clear expressions. Everything, is very upfront. And it's interesting. Months ago, when I started this season of Rewind, for those of you that have been with me, I covered Christopher Nolan's Following, which was released a couple of months, I believe, prior to Pi. So it's interesting that these two films came out. They're actually, I recommend this as a fun double feature to do. Both have protagonists on these unique journeys that, you know, don't quite go the way you think, but if you stay with them in their very short runtime, and again, like Following, Pi is shot in this beautiful, stunning black and white, simple shooting that again brings to mind Kevin Smith's Clerks, which I also referenced. So that minimalist approach is very impactful. And even more so here with Pi, Clint Mansell's haunting mashup of horror music and techno really keeps you engaged as we're following Max, whether he's running from his pursuers, running from, these people who want the numbers, those people who want the numbers, these people who want his brain, those people who want his brain. And it's all really cinched together nicely by editor Oren Sark, who cuts the film together with very rapid cuts with beautiful shots that, you know, it's a stunning piece. I'm getting a little tongue tied in myself, even as I'm looking at my notes in front of me. So again, as you build this film up to its climax, you may You may feel a little cheated, I won't lie, and maybe it's because this film is so rapid in 80 minutes. Um, but I actually don't think it needed to be any longer. I think Aronofsky really honed in on what he wanted to do and executed it well. Almost leaving it open for the sequel that we never got. But I leave that to you to determine. So for me, I'm actually right along with my fellow critics, and I give Pi a strong, solid 4-star review. It's a quite enjoyable and disturbing all at once, and definitely one worth checking out. If you would like to watch, or maybe it's been a while and you want to rewatch Pi, it is available for digital rental or purchase on most platforms. As of this recording and posting, there is no streaming information to share. Last year, the film was purchased by A24, and they are starting to distribute their movies on Max, but Pi is not there yet. Will it show up? Who knows? And a fun fact for you, should you decide to go about and rent and watch Pi digitally, fun fact, 1999, Pi was the first film made available for streaming in a pay-per-view window, as per an article on the Wall Street Journal. So that's fun. All right, so that's where I'm going to leave you today. As always, if you like what you heard here, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, spread the word. You can follow me, Cinephile Mike, on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd, and find lots of great stuff on my website, cinephilemike.com. Happy watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.